Today on Faces of Manchester, I talked to local professional wrestler Nic Rage about being a professional athlete here in the Queen City.
And I make this money, and I make this money. This money is me, this money is everything I do and see. Who you to judge me? Just let me be and let me breathe. I see this whole world headed for damnation, and I'm ready to leave. I can't believe this whole world twisted me. You fucking bigots, you fakes, you wannabes. I see the future and it's looking grim. A lake of fire looking like a long swim. I'm a fist of rage.
Hey Nick, thanks for coming on the show.
Thanks for having me.
So you're a local wrestler here, and what organization do you wrestle for?
What type of interview are you? You don't have any of this information already anywhere? You don't have a one sheet or anything?
Yeah, no, I
Is this the type of interview you're going to run here, Alex Lackhants?
I mean, it might be. It might be.
Well, if you don't know, you should know. I am the Canadian classic Nic Rage, and I am Mr. WAW. And then there's a bunch of other people that wrestle beneath me.
So WAW, is that like I don't know what you guys call it, a little person organization?
Are you accusing me of being a midget wrestler?
Well, I mean,
I'll leave you laying on this floor, and I'll be the man standing tall. No, we are a local promotion running out of Murphy's Gym in Manchester, New Hampshire.
so where are you from?
I, in case you hadn't heard, are from Canada. Toronto, to be exact.
So how'd you end up here in Manchester?
Well, you know, as you travel throughout the world of wrestling, you need to go to different places and challenge yourself. And I felt like there was no more challenges in the Great White. I had to come down to the United States and start beating people's ass down here.
And so who'd you train with up in Canada?
That's none of your business, Alex. Just know that I came down as the best and will continue to be so from this point forward to the time I hang up my boots, which ain't anytime soon.
So being the best, you must have won some championships?
I have won multiple championships. I am the first ever OCW New England champion, as well as a former WAW team champion.
So those are like won in like bingo halls and like people's basements?
That's insulting to up-and-coming pro wrestlers, sir. We wrestle where we can, when we can, to become the best we can.
So you ever wrestle in front of like actual people?
I've wrestled in front of 100 people.
100?
Hundreds of people. I wrestled in Spinner Stadium in Lowell, Massachusetts, on the same card with Kevin Nash, Scott Hall, and the 1-2-3 Kid.
Those guys were like 60 at that point, though, right?
Almost, yes. But I also competed for the WAW Team Championships on that show. So I fought from Canada to the U.S. for championships.
So who are your role models?
Well, that's a little easier, sir, because you know Canada is responsible for a tremendous amount of high-quality athletes, including Bret the Hitman Hart, Jim the Anvil Neidhart, the King of Hearts, Owen Hart, as well as today's Kevin Owens, Sami Zayn, and of course the Rated R Superstar Edge. You could go down the list of Canadian world champions, and they all hold a place in the Canadian Classic's heart.
What about the Mountie?
The Mountie, he had his times, but when he decided to sell out Canada to become a stereotype, that doesn't sit well with someone like me. Because I don't go around spouting a boot and a. No, I'm a real man. I don't sound like the Canadian stereotypes. You can be your own man and be from Canada.
Yeah, you know, stereotypes have no place in wrestling.
No place in wrestling.
That's right.
It's passe.
So what's your proudest moment as a professional athlete?
It was a beautiful day. Probably one of the most beautiful days you could ever have if you're Nic Rage. Because, you see, I put a little plan into motion. It was freaking flex. I sent him out against my two most hated rivals, the CIA, Frank Bones and Greedy, who at the time were the WAW team champions. And he greased them up real good and said he apologized, that he has been enslaved to Nic Rage. And he promised them that things would all be better someday. But it was a lie. Because he conned them into a team match, and I clobbered their ass with a steel chair, and 20 minutes later, we were the WAW team champions. And that is the proudest moment to date for Nic Rage. Right below that is winning the OCW title. But nothing was quite as sweet as causing one rival to have to team with me and taking the other one's belt. Beautiful.
So when you say that, he greased them up.
So he had been forced to either get that title match or he would be fired. So he had to talk real sweet to get him to agree to that match, knowing that I was just waiting backstage with a chair to clobber CIA as soon as they accepted that challenge. I love it when a plan comes together, Alex. It was a great, great day.
So speaking of freaking flex,
Do we have to? I preferred that we didn't.
Oh no, we have to, because I've got a couple of your fans wrote into me knowing you were coming on the show.
Oh, thousands of Rageaholics has had pertinent questions for the peak of technique, Nic Rage.
Thousands or two.
Two? You probably
Two.
got all the one. You probably got rid of all the ones praising me. So what's left?
I was shocked that there were two. So Matthew in Candia wants to know, and you're gonna have to give me a little backstory on this because I have no idea. How long do you have to wear the flax mask?
Well, unfortunately, at our last event, WAW Lord of the Ring, there was a stipulation. If I had won, Flax had to take his mask off for good. But unfortunately, because he cheated, I have to wear the mask for the next month. But only at WAW, so I can at least walk around in life without that stupid mask on.
Yeah, I read that question, and I thought you were going to show up here in the mask. But
only where I'm contractually obligated to wear the mask.
Unfortunately,
it smells.
Unfortunately, I got to look at your face instead.
He put it in his pants in front of his crotch.
Gross.
It is. It is, and it smells that way. Disgusting.
What's your finishing move?
My finishing move is a tribute. Now, this is another cliche I'm going to smash right here. Just because you're from Canada or from another country doesn't mean I don't hate America. I love America. And there's certain Americans that I love, and a certain American by the name of Stone Cold Steve Austin. What a guy. So I took a little bit of Stone Cold and gave it a twist, and my finishing maneuver is the cold shoulder. And for those in the know, you put someone in a full Nelson, both arms under their arms around their neck, and then I spin them around into a Stone Cold Stunner and leave them laying on the ground like the pile of trash that they are.
So who else do you just rip off?
What? Wrestling is an homage. You take from the past and you bring it into the future. But on that note, I also use Bret Hart's sharpshooter when I really want to stick it to my opponents and make them feel the pain.
You sure you don't use Sting's finisher?
No, I don't use Sting's finisher.
Isn't it the same thing?
No, because Sting had a sloppy version, a sloppy ripoff of Bret Hart, and Bret Hart was the man who applied it with technique, an excellence of execution.
So who's the worst competitor in WAW? Who do you hate the most?
Who do I hate the most? Well, there's a top two. I mean, we've already talked a little bit about it. There's freaking Flax. But he's a more recent heated rival. I hate his guts, but I've only hated his guts for like a year and a half. Frank Bones, on the other hand, is a completely different story. You see, we're going to go way back. You're not even going to believe how far this goes back. We crossed paths when I came to the United States in the 5th grade.
Wow.
That's it. We moved around a bunch. It's none of your business why. But in that time, Frank and I have been best friends and the worst of enemies. And ever since he got to WAW, he was doing things the right way. He was cutting corners. He was being cold. He was being vicious until he stepped foot in WAW. And for some reason, he is obsessed with pleasing the pathetic people that sit in the crowd, the Manchester morons, those genetic car wreck mutants. Why he needs their applause and approval and cheers, I have no idea. So I've spent the last 2 years in WAW, trying to get him to see things my way. No matter how many times he gets screwed, no matter times I screw him over, he doesn't get it that that's the real way to succeed. He keeps trying to do things fairly and not cheating. But until he gets it through his head, I'll never be done with Frank Bones. And I'm sure he would say the same thing if he was sitting here in this seat.
Can you beat him without cheating?
I can absolutely beat his ass any day, every day, twice on Sunday.
Wow.
Yeah, that's right.
So who's your favorite other than yourself? Obviously, you're
Well, obviously, I would be my own favorite
I can tell that.
But beneath that, there is one man amongst who stands head and shoulders above all, literally. He is the Dark Tower of Power, Draven Filth, the current WAW World's Heavyweight Champion.
Where's Draven from?
Draven hails from Lawrence, Massachusetts, the sister city to Lowell, Massachusetts.
Thank you for telling me where. Lawrence
Just so
is.
you know
Yeah.
that Frank Bones and Draven, they're the two sides of the coin. Frank grew up in Lowell, lives in Lowell. He's a Lowell guy. Draven was on the other side of the tracks in the slimy town of Lawrence, Massachusetts. And they both came up, and now they compete in WAW. They just had a title match, as a matter of fact.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
How'd that go?
It was great because Jay and Phil cheated and destroyed Frank Bones and kept the belt. And then Frank had to go backstage and cry about it.
So it sounds like you and your friends can't win without cheating?
I mean, win if you can, lose if you must, but always cheat and never get caught.
You never get caught?
9 times out of 10, I don't get caught.
So you're saying the refs aren't very good in WAW?
Well, it's not that the refs aren't good. It's that you gotta be smarter than the average ref.
And you're clearly a smart guy.
Yeah, clearly.
Clearly. So you how long you been around Manchester?
Well, I've been competing in Manchester for a couple years now. And then every couple weeks I'll travel back home.
You know a lot of people in this area?
By now, yes, unfortunately.
So who do you think of all these unfortunate people that you've met I should bring on the show and talk to sometime?
Well, you would definitely have to talk to freaking Flax. Because even though I despise him, he's got a motor mouth. Run it. Ba 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 ba. All day, all night. Stupid goat face. Ba 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 ba. Until he steps in the ring with me and I close it with my fist. Other than that, there's also a juicy individual by the name of Andreas Reyes who would love to talk about his time here in Manchester. I believe he's grown up here for the most part. So he could probably get into this subpar town's ups and downs and what it's like growing up in a place like this.
What's so subpar about Manchester?
It's just like anywhere else in America. You know what I mean? I've driven an up and down enough roads to know that you're going to see a McDonald's, a Burger King, and a Walmart, and rinse and repeat. The whole place looks the same. It's all the same.
Is that better than a Tim Hortons on every block?
No way. Tim Hortons is the best.
I tried to use that reverse psychology.
Canada's
but it
beautiful.
Did not work.
Beautiful mountains and snow-capped mountains, trees, forests. It's a beautiful place. Not nearly as overrun by industry as the greedy United States is.
So you're a pro athlete. That's a big part of your life.
I would say a world-class athlete. Yes, continue.
So kids in this area who look up to you, who want to be a pro athlete like yourself.
Of course, yeah.
Tip physical.
They could dream, yes.
Tip physical condition,
The
competing against top-notch other pro athletes.
Yes.
What advice do you have to them so that they can get to where you are?
My advice to everyone out there is to watch Nic Rage. Be like Nic Rage. You can try.
So cheat.
If you can. Do whatever it takes, whatever you want out there. Because a lot of guys who claim to be bad would come out here and tell people that they have no chance. Nic Rage I have some heart. I believe if you have something you want, you go out and get it. Any way, any means necessary. Go out there and get it, whatever it takes. You gotta step on someone to get what you want, step on them. You gotta steal something to get what you want, steal it. Whatever it takes, whatever you want in life, find a way and do it.
You know?
I do know. A lot, actually. Most of it.
I actually like that.
See?
I feel that way. I feel that way about business and life. Just take it.
Just take it. You gotta grab your competition by the throat and squeeze it out.
Absolutely.
Get whatever you want. See? Nic Rage is misunderstood.
I don't know about that.
What? Should know.
Is there anything else you'd like to add? You'd like the world to know?
Well, the world should know that while I got this stupid mask on, I'm gonna hurt as many people as I possibly can until stupid Flax gives me another match, because I'm not leaving it at that. We have our biggest event of the year coming up on April 27th, Legacy 18. And I'm gonna do everything within my power to make sure Flax steps in that ring with me at that event. He might think it's done, but in my heart, it'll never be over, Alex. As long as there's a breath in my lung and blood pumping through my veins, he will never be out of the grasp of the Canadian Classic, that Toronto technician, and the epitome of excellence, Nic Rage.
So you don't have a match set yet?
Not yet. I'm stuck wearing this stupid mask for the next 6 weeks.
How are you gonna get out of it? How are you gonna get the match?